Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. All praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds, the most compassionate and the most merciful. The last and final story Allah shares with us in Surah Al-Kahf is the story of the great ruler Dhul-Qarnayn. This story, along with the story of the people of the cave, was revealed to the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, in response to the disbelievers who challenged him to tell them about these famous stories from the past. So who exactly is this Dhul-Qarnayn? It is popularly believed that Dhul-Qarnayn refers to Iskandar Dhul-Qarnayn, or Alexander the Great. However, the historical details do not match. Further, Alexander the Great was not a believer in Islam, whereas Dhul-Qarnayn was a pious believer. There are many theories about who this man was and in what era he lived. However, the precise identity of Dhul-Qarnayn is not described in the Qur'an and Hadith, and Allah did not provide us with the details for a wisdom that He knows. And they ask you, O Muhammad, about Dhul-Qarnayn. Say, I will recite to you a report about him. Dhul-Qarnayn was one of the blessed people whom Allah had made a king. He provided him with power and everything necessary to rule the land as a just and powerful king. Our beloved Allah says in the Qur'an, Indeed, we established him upon the earth, and we gave him the means to everything, so he followed away. He was a pious believer who lived a rather simple life. It is known that he was a man who Allah had blessed immensely. He was blessed with a militarily focused mind, the ability to govern various kingdoms, and great wisdom about life. He was a believer in Allah and was on the straight path. Throughout his military travels and expeditions, he would often reflect and contemplate the signs of Allah. He lived his life traveling from one land to the next in order to establish justice and alleviate the suffering of the average person. As he journeyed west on one occasion, his journey took him to a strange place. There he found a group of people who lived near a hot spring of muddy water. The place was located so far in the west that, when the sun set, it seemed as though it disappeared into the water. Among this group of people, there were those who associated partners with Allah and did not believe in His oneness. However, some people among them were good. They had high morals and were of good character. When he came across these people and saw their situation, he was granted a choice by Allah to either punish the people or be merciful to them. As for one who wrongs, we will punish him. Then he will be returned to his Lord, and He will punish him with a terrible punishment. But as for one who believes and does righteousness, he will have a reward of paradise, and we will speak to him from our command with ease. Being a kind and merciful king, he chose to be merciful. He also began inviting the people to the oneness of Allah, encouraged good behavior, and guided them to honesty and high morals. Those who listened and accepted his message, he treated with kindness and described the rewards that awaited them in paradise. However, those who still disobeyed Allah even after learning about the truth were punished. Later, he journeyed eastward. He traveled so far into the east that, when the sun rose, it seemed as though it originated from there. In that place, he found another group of very simple individuals. These individuals hardly had any trees or buildings to shade them from the scorching heat of the sun. When the sun was very hot, they dug tunnels and hid in them. Slightly surprised by their behavior and state, Dhul-Qarnayn did the same as he did with the previous group of people. He invited them to the true belief in Allah and taught them good character and morals. Those who refused to accept the truth and give up their bad ways were punished. Those who listened and accepted his advice were treated kindly and were told about their reward in paradise. Soon after, he continued his travels. This time, his journey took him to a path between two towering mountains. Then he followed away until, when he reached a pass between two mountains, he found beside them a people who could hardly understand his speech. As he traveled beyond the mountains, he discovered another group of people. They were hardworking and very helpful to each other. They spoke a language that was strange to Dhul-Qarnayn, making it difficult for him to understand what they said. At the same time, the people also found it difficult to understand him, as they did not understand his language. After much difficulty, they informed him about a group of harmful, destructive, and terrible people from two tribes called Yajuj and Majuj. They lived in the valley between the mountains and were huge in number. From time to time, they came and attacked the people, causing all sorts of trouble and damage to their land and belongings. The terrified people requested the help of Dhul-Qarnayn. They asked him to build a tall barrier between the mountains that would hold Yajuj and Majuj back. Dhul-Qarnayn, being a kind and loving person, agreed to help them. They offered to pay him generously for his work, but he refused, stating that what my Lord has given me is better than anything I would want from this world. However, he asked for a group of strong people to help him build a great barrier. Allah not only endowed him with power, but also gave him great intellect. Dhul-Qarnayn ordered huge blocks of iron and began building the barrier. He started at the bottom, placing the blocks one on top of another until he reached the top of the mountains, filling the width and height of the gap. After he finished building an iron layer, he heated the iron until it was burning hot. He then ordered that molten copper be brought, which he poured onto the barrier. As the copper cooled, it joined with the iron, making an extremely strong barrier. The work was now complete, and between the people in Yajuj and Majuj stood a strong, towering barrier. The people congratulated Dhul-Qarnayn and those who helped him for their fine work. The barrier was so strong and high that the tribes of Yajuj and Majuj could neither climb nor break through it. Dhul-Qarnayn thanked Allah and said, "This is a mercy from my Lord. But when the promise of my Lord comes, he shall level it down to the ground, and the promise of my Lord is always true." So therefore, as we said, towards the end of time, Allah will cause this great barrier to collapse, letting out these two terrible tribes who will cause chaos and destruction on earth. We are informed by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, that Yajuj and Majuj will continue trying to break out of the barrier by digging at it every day until they almost penetrate the wall. Then their leader will order them to cease digging for the night and resume the next day. At night, Allah reinforces the wall, making it stronger than it was the previous day. One day they will say, "Inshallah, we will break through the wall." On that day, Allah will not reinforce the wall, and they will be able to break through and exit. Those will be the end times. In these times of uncertainty, we seek refuge in Allah from the trials and tribulations foretold in the end times. May Allah protect us from the chaos of Yajuj and Majuj, preserve our Iman, and grant us the strength to face any challenges with steadfastness and faith. Ameen. If this video resonated with you, please share it with other Muslim brothers and sisters so they can benefit as well. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more enriching Islamic content. Together, let's grow in faith and understanding. Jazakallah khair for your support.